Hi there. Welcome back to the Rare Book Views channel where I talk about how much I love books and collecting and reading and libraries and all the book things. Today I'm going book shopping and I'm very excited to be back in action. I was sick for a bit and just enjoying having some reading time, and now I actually get to go out and explore again. I had a good adventure recently, so I am excited to do it again. And I want to thank everybody who sent me comments from the last video that well wishes for getting better from having COVID, and just in general, everybody who has subscribed or sent me comments and told me about what they're reading and what they're enjoying. I love it. I love when people tell me about their favorite authors. So if you have a chance, please do that for me. Today I'm going to a really cool bookstore. It's a giant warehouse. So it's really fun to browse around. For book buying, I have a list of popular fiction that I'm looking for, and it's not perfect for that because I think that sometimes they're just regular books, they're middle of the road, are priced a little, I think I can do a little bit better price wise, but sometimes they have really cool things. It's giant, so they get a lot of books in from people who are cleaning out houses and things like that. They get a lot of volume. So sometimes you can get lucky because they're really focused on selling large quantities. Sometimes they don't notice that they have special editions and things like that. They don't price them as high as they should. So sometimes I get lucky and I have some Christmas shopping and other gift shopping to do. I have lists for my friends, and it is going to be interesting because it's hot out and I haven't been in the store in a really long time when it was hot. So this is going to be good fun, I think. I rearranged my books while I was sick because I was stuck in the house, and I went through and thought about, I have some books I'm probably not going to read again that aren't particularly special editions, so I think I might take a box for trade, and we'll see how that goes. I had a fantastic shopping trip. I did take some books for trade, and I got about $12 in credit. And this is confusing math because at this store, everything is half off unless you're using store credit, and then it's 25% off. So if you have to, it's really confusing. How much am I really spending? Because I did find some cool things. I found a Louisa Alcott. This is the original-ish version of Old Fashioned Girl. This is the Little and Brown, which is the original publisher, but this is a later. I know that they changed this. It's got this really cool gilt on the spine. I have these somewhere up there. I have about 8 of them. They came in different colors, and the earlier ones had gilt on the front, but of course you can't see that when it's on the shelf, and it's cheaper to make it with just gilt on the spine. So this is a really fun edition. And the copyright page lists 1898. So turn of the century, this book is over 100 years old. It's really hard to sell this, and I already have it. I checked. I sometimes can't resist. What if I need it? But I already have this one, and I don't need this copy. And it was $10, depending on how I paid for it. I just can't remember now. What I did was I had $12 in trade, so I figured out these books equal that, And then I did the other ones separately so that I could get the 50% off. So this is $10, which isn't bad. I probably overpaid a little bit. If I had Little Women and put them together, I could sell them for a profit. But like I said, I can't pass that. And I wanted to check and make sure if I needed to keep it. I also found this. This is a beautiful edition of Andersen's fairy tales. So you can see there's a little bit of gilt. It's called a paste down. There's an actual color illustration that is attached to the front cover. I think this was the best publishing of children's books, where it has the actual an individual page where it's color and that is placed in. Oh, beautiful. This is a series called Windermere, which is weirdly published by Rand McNally, who I think of as the map people, but beautiful books. This series, a lot of children's books in this format with the paste down. Andersen's is cool. I really like Andersen's fairy tales. The Ugly Duckling, The Princess and the Pea, things like that. This edition has these beautiful end papers that are illustrated. And then it has a frontispiece. Let me show you that. So facing the title page, it has this, which is this color illustration page that is it's the entire page. It's not attached. Previous to this, you get these editions where this is a separate piece and it's tipped in, I believe that's what you're supposed to call it, where it's just attached in the corners. This is the entire page. I think these illustrations are amazing. Who's the illustrator here? Oh, Milo Winter. He did a lot of these books, the Windermere series. Copyright page list, 1916 edition of 1928. Almost 100 years old. Almost a authentic antique. This book doesn't have very much damage. Often you'll see these, and because they've been read and loved, this will be really worn or really got some fatigue going on, and then you'll see the hinges at the front or the back. You get this, like, it breaks, and then you can see the hinge underneath. But this is in beautiful condition. And this I paid $10 for, and I think it's worth significantly more than that. So that'll be interesting, and that will fund my book addiction. I found this is really cool. In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I talk about him a lot. I often can't resist purchasing these. This is a stated first printing, and that means the first printing of the first edition. So this was the original edition. This was what was sold when it came out, and this was the original batch that the printer published, the first printing. If they ran out, they made another one. That was the second printing. It is weird to me that this is the first edition, and it is worth maybe $15. They just don't sell it for that much, and I don't have a great finger on the pulse. Is it because they printed a ton of them and they aren't rare, or is it because it's just not beloved? But this is a wonderful book. Truman Capote, weird guy. And this book was very strange at the time. He interviewed the people who were eventually convicted of a murder, and he told it like it was fiction. So you can read it as if it's a novel, but it's based on facts, and where he doesn't know the dialogue, he filled it in. Later, there were questions raised about how he got this information and how ethical it was, but it is a fascinating story. It is told in a very creative way. At the time, this was not done. Now, this is very common that we've fictionalized a lot of history. You can just read accounts where an author uses their creativity to paint the picture for us. But at the time, this was very strange. And he was friends with the author of To Kill a Mockingbird. And that whole story, I think, is fascinating. So I can never turn away from In Cold Blood. I think it is just so cool. And this is the first edition, and I didn't pay very much for it. And I want to say this was $12. So I think this might have been in my, I'll take these in trade. Who knows? And I found this. Lolita by Vladimir Nobokov. I read this was required reading for one of my classes in college, so I read it. I didn't like it. And I did not like it for reasons, in addition to the real reason to not like it, is that it's gross. But the writing, I just didn't think it was amazing. We did a lot of analysis in the class that I took, and I just was unconvinced. But people love it. This edition is interesting. Okay, this is the dust jacket. It's not terrible. It's got a little bit of wear. This is the cover. It's got this sort of lined situation. This is the spine. The tops of the pages are red. The dust jacket is not clipped. It says $5. This is fascinating. This book is from a library, and it's some kind of library where you rented books. And this one says, I've never heard of this, like by fee library type situation, like an old school video rental. This book rents for 5 cents a day. There's a stamp. There's a stamp here, and then the other from Effort's Bookshop. There's some remnants of tape which has been removed. So you can see there's like a shadow here where this dust jacket was taped to the book. Don't do this to your books. And the same is true in the back. But that's about it for damage. It doesn't seem like there's really anything else, there's any other issues with it. This is a first edition. And this, unlike in Cold Blood, it's hard to know that it is. This is the copyright page. It doesn't have an edition or a printing on it. The later ones do. The original one didn't say anything. They would print more. But because it has on the dust jacket, the price is $5. There's no subsequent editions listed, and it's got the red. So as far as I know, those are the points to tell that it is a first edition. So I believe it is. I've sold a first edition of Lolita before for about $100, and it was in slightly better condition. It didn't have the ex-library marks. So this one is probably not worth as much. I think maybe I could list it for somewhere between $50 and $75. Maybe I'll just try it at $65 and see what happens. I paid for this $2 because I think the people in the bookstore, I think I said this, they sell by volume. I think they didn't understand this was a first edition because it doesn't say that. It's many books like this, especially from this period. The first edition doesn't say anything, and then later editions they just add. And you can imagine that's really easy at the printmaker because you don't take anything off and add a new one. You just print the first one with nothing on the copyright page, and then the next one you might put first edition. Or now a lot of publishers use a number line, and they just take numbers off the line. But this is, I believe, this is a first edition. And if you know more points, please let me know. But I did not love this book, and most of the books that I keep are the ones that I read as a kid that I really like to have a special edition, or books that just really made an impression on me when I read them. So I have a nonfiction area and the fiction, and most of the fiction are kids' books. You can see there's the Chronicles of Narnia. There's right there is Les Miserables. I have a nice edition of that. I got it at an estate sale. So I did not love Lolita. I'm not going to read it again. So I have no qualms about passing this on to someone who's going to enjoy it, or if it was some landmark reading experience for them, they'll be really happy to have a first edition, even with the flaws. So I will be happy to find this guy a new home. I have someone that knows that it's a first edition and will appreciate it, instead of hanging out in this bookstore where they must not have known because they're only asking $2 for it. So I had a great time. The book hunting was really fun. I felt like I found some treasures. I didn't find anything to keep. I didn't find anything to read. So I guess I'll just have to go again. Thanks everybody again for watching and sending me comments. I appreciate it, and happy reading.